We are hot. Mm-hmm. We are hot. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Mic check 1 2 1 2. All right. All right. What's going on tonight, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Tonight, I want to talk about the best lead guards of all time. But before we get to the lead guard, we got to talk about what exactly the lead guard is. What exactly is the lead guard? Is he the primary ball handler? Is he the guy that takes the most shots? Is he the guy that passes the ball the most? Which one is it? When you're talking about a lead guard, I think the lead guard, I think he's the primary ball handler. I think he's in control of your offense. I think he's the head of your attack defensively. I think he's one of your better scorers. I think he's your best distributor. I think he controls the pace. And I think he gets everybody that needs to be involved in the game. What I'm not a fan of is I'm not a fan of these guards who are score-heavy guards. Because what that is that's just a one-on-one guy who is just showing that I'm better than you. I could score more than you. How is your game influencing other people? How is your game enhancing other people? So when I think about a lead guard, I think about Magic, Stockton, Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd. These are the guys that I'm thinking about when I think about a lead guard. How is your game making everybody else better in addition to making you better? Your game, your role as the lead guard is not just to kick everybody's ass. That's not your role. Because you dominate the basketball, your job is to just go after guys. No. You got to involve other people too. So again, when I think about the lead guard, I'm thinking about the guy who implements himself in the offense, implements other people in the offense, gets other people involved offensively, in addition to getting himself involved. He's the head of their attack defensively. He's better as a floor leader. He gets people in position to be where they need to be. And with all of that being said, what he does is he enhances his crew. That's what I'm thinking about when I think about a lead guard. He enhances his crew also. Now, I think there's different levels of lead guard. You know, there's your traditional lead guard. There's your combo guard, who he does what the lead guard does, but he also does other things too, like he scores off the basketball. That's a combo guard. I think that those guys are in a completely different category than the lead guard, because I think the lead guard is a little bit more influential. And the reason why I think he's a little bit more influential is because of how much he influences everybody else. I already know that you can get buckets. I already know that. That's not news to me. I know you could get buckets. I know you can score. I already know that. What I want to know is, how can you, as the lead guard, enhance your crew? That's what I'd like to know. How are you enhancing your crew as the lead guard? Jerry West, how was he enhancing his crew? Well, he was, but there were stretches when he wasn't. That's why I put him in the same category with guys like Steph Curry, James Harden, Allen Iverson. Steph Curry, Allen Iverson, James Harden, Jerry West. I put guys like that in the same category. And the reason why I put those guys in the same category, because number one, they're not the traditional lead guard. And they do a multitude of things, right? So a guy like Allen Iverson, he can score the basketball with the best of them. He does get off the basketball too. He is a distributor. I think he averaged like 6 assists. Same thing with Steph Curry. He averaged 6 assists. I think Damian Lillard, even though he dominates the basketball, he's had a season where he's averaged 7, 8 assists a game. He's done that. I would like to see these dudes pass it a little bit more, but they don't. And the reason why they don't is because that's not the game today. That's why guys like John Stockton get roasted the way that they do. Because guys like John Stockton, who enhance other people's games and make the game more impactful for other people, because he ain't averaging 30 a game, because he's not averaging 25 a game. Even though early on in his career, when he first started going to the playoffs, right, when Stockton first started going to the playoffs, he was buckets. Just so you know, in '88, when they played against the Lakers, he averaged 27 a game in that series. Against Magic, he averaged 27 a game in that series. The next year, he averaged 19 a game. Stock changed his game to fit the offense for Malone, because he was the guy who the offense was ran through. So he sacrificed a lot of his offense for Malone, for Jeff Malone, for Karl Malone, for David Benoit, for guys like that. He sacrificed a lot of his offense because Stockton could score. If you ask any of the greats that he played against, they will tell you Stock could score on anybody. That was never a question. So when you have guys like that play in today's game, guys like Trae Young, who passes the basketball, but he also scores at an elite level. The difference with a guy like Trae Young, right? The difference with a guy like Trae Young is he takes a lot of bad shots, which throws his unit off, which completely screws his unit up. So how impactful is he as a lead guard? Well, clearly not that impactful, because his crew ain't winning. And his crew's not winning, right? His crew is not winning because his crew is not winning because, again, we're talking about a guy who doesn't really get off the basketball more than he shoots it. He doesn't put guys in position to score more than he puts himself. So because of that, that affects his unit. That definitely affects his unit. So when you got a lead guard that can get other people involved in the game, and not necessarily his offense be secondary, but his offense coincides with getting other people involved. When you got a lead guard like that, you are guaranteed to have success. 100%, you are. You are guaranteed to have success. Jeff is super chats. How does the super chat work? That part I don't know, but I know that you can send super chats. I do know that for a fact. So with that being said, some of the best lead guards, the best lead guards in NBA history: Oscar Robertson, Magic, Stockton, Isaiah Thomas, Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, Mark Price, Chauncey Billups. These are the guys that I'm thinking about off the top of my head. Steve Nash. Let's see. Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Darren Williams. For those eras, so for like from the 2000s to the 2010s, Darren Williams, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul. In the 2010s on, Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul is still there, Steph Curry. I just don't think Steph Curry is a lead guard, though. I don't. I feel like I'm leaving somebody out during the 2000s. Rondo, that's what I'm leaving out. I'm leaving out Rondo. Rondo is definitely in that category with the better lead guards of the game, the best lead guards of the game. And the reason why this is important when I talk about lead guards is because, your unit, as good as good as you're going to be, right? As good as you're going to be, your unit is going to be, that's going to be predicated on your lead guard, because he's your primary ball handler. He's your primary distributor. He's the guy he's essentially your quarterback. He's the guy that's taking care of the basketball. He's the guy that's implementing his offense into your offense and getting you involved, right? So when I think about guys like Curry, when I think about guys like Allen Iverson, when I think about guys like Jerry West, I think about guys like James Harden. So when I think about these guys, I think about these guys as more combo guards who, I mean, their offense was first more than it was getting other people involved. I mean, James Harden got other people involved, but his offense, his scoring prowess was definitely more than getting you involved. 100% it was. So with that being said, I still put these dudes in a different category. So if you walked in a room and you had a table, and this table over here had Magic sitting at it, Oscar Robertson sitting at it, Stockton was sitting at it, Isaiah Thomas was sitting there, Jason Kidd was sitting there. If Steph Curry walked in the room, he's sitting at a completely different table than these dudes. He's not sitting at the same table with them. He got his own table. His table is over here. His table is not the same as Magic, because he doesn't play the lead guard in that aspect. So when I say that, that doesn't diminish him, right? That does not diminish Steph Curry. That puts Steph Curry just in a different class, right? That puts him in a different class simply off the strength that he does it a different way. He completely does it a different way. So with that being said, I don't compare guys like Steph Curry Allen Iverson, Jerry West, I don't compare them dudes to Oscar Robertson, Steve Nash, Magic, Stock. I don't compare them to those dudes. And the reason why I don't compare them to those dudes, because they do something different. And I don't mean they do it different because it's better. They just do it different. Now, I'm not one of those dudes. You stop it, Andrew. Don't come in here with that nonsense. Do not. Steph Curry is not a point guard. A point guard is a primary ball handler. Not just a guy who sets the table, but a guy who also involves his other teammates. Draymond Green is the primary ball handler on that unit. No, he is not, Andrew. So don't come in here with that nonsense. Do not. So again, like I was saying, when you're talking about a lead guard, right? Right? When you're talking about a lead guard, When I think about a guy like Steph Curry, I'm not one of these dudes. You know the old head that is still around today in 2023, and he telling you Bob Cousy's the best point guard that I've ever seen. And I'm thinking to myself, Bob Cousy retired 60 years ago. 60 years ago. So you telling me that in the 60 years you've been watching the NBA, you ain't seen nobody better than him? In 60 years? Nobody? In 20 years, we're in 2023. 20 years from now, right? 20 years from now, Magic Johnson will be removed from the NBA 50 years. I can't sit on here and tell you guys that 20 years from now, when Magic is 50 years removed from the NBA, that I'm going to be like, Magic's the best point guard that I've ever seen. Because I'm essentially telling you, in the 50 years that I've been watching pro basketball, well, it's going to be more than that. In the 50 years since Magic left, I haven't seen anybody better than him. I would be crazy to say something like that. And the reason why is because the game evolves and guys get better. I just don't think it's Steph Curry. That's all. I just don't think it's Steph Curry. That's all it is. I just don't think it's Curry. I think Curry is fantastic, but I think he's fantastic in his own way. I think it's imperative for a lot of people to have Steph Curry ahead of Magic Johnson, which is nuts to me. I don't understand why. I don't understand why that is what it is. I really don't. But again, when I think about the best lead guards in the game, those are the guys that I'm thinking about. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on who are the best lead guards in the game. Who do you think the best lead guards, not just in today's game, right? Not just in today's game, in the game overall. Who are the best lead guards that you've seen or that you can talk about, that you feel comfortable talking about? Yo, this guy is awesome at the lead guard spot. This guy, and it also needs to be defined. What up, Lee? How you doing, brother? It also needs to be defined what the lead guard is. Because again, I hear a lot of people talking about, when I hear a lot of people talking about, well, Joker is a primary ball handler. Well, the difference with that is Joker does a lot of stuff that the five-man does. Joker doesn't just handle the basketball. Joker is also their best rebounder. Joker is also their best interior defender. Joker is also their best rim protector. Even though he might not be Olajuwon, right? He might not be Ewing. Okay, sure. But he still does five-man things. Just like Embiid does five-man things. I'd like to see Embiid rebound a little bit more, but he still does five-man things. So when I think about the lead guard, I can appreciate you evolving and your game expanding, but I still need to see you do lead guard things. I do need to see that. So I'm interested to hear your logic on the better lead guards in NBA history. I'm real interested to hear that. So what up?
Hey, Chill, how are you? Can you hear me?
What's going on?
Well, this is a great conversation. I'm glad you're having it. I have so much to ask you, but the first thing I'm going to ask you is, do we think it's like we disrespect the quote unquote combo guards? Like, I know you said like people in the past, they more so pass first, like John Stockton, Magic Johnson, but just because a person has more offensive ability to score, does that take away from them being a true lead guard?
Oscar Robertson averaged 30 a game for 8 years.
Right. So would you call him a combo guard?
No, I would call him a lead guard because he also averaged 10 assists on average. On average, he got off the basketball. He might have been buckets, but he also got a lot of people involved on the regular. So when I think about a lead guard, I'm thinking about a guy he's buckets, but my buckets come in addition to what you doing. You're playing off me, right? I'm playing off you. You're not playing off me. I'm setting you up. I'm getting you involved. And then my offense comes in the process of me getting you involved. It's not, prime example would be Joker. Like when people see Joker scoring, Joker scores secondarily. My job is to get everybody else involved. If you notice how these dudes play off Joker, he gets going when this guy doesn't have it. Or not just when this guy doesn't have it, he gets going when Murray gets going. Okay, now I'll get involved. He'll get going when Aaron Gordon gets going. He's not just coming out shooting the basketball. That's not his game. So the same logic with the league guard, like Oscar Robertson, for example. He was getting Wayne Embry involved in the game early, getting him dump downs, dumping the ball into him, getting him in transition. I mean, it was one of the fastest paces in NBA history. So because of that, when I think about the lead guard, that's what I think about when I think about him. My offense, I'm playing off you. You ain't playing off me. I'm playing off you.
Well, I also wanted to ask, second question I wanted to ask is like, you have a person like Rondo, and then you have a person like Curry. Rondo would be considered a lead guard to you, but Curry would be considered the combo guard. But I was thinking about it more so of coaching. Like Curry would come in, yeah, coach, I want to be a point guard, but then the coach says, nah, your talent is so much greater than that of that. And then I suppose you have a person like Rondo or John Stockton, the coach says, all right, stick to this, and if your offense comes, it comes.
Mm-hmm. So
I was saying, okay,
go ahead, keep going. I'm listening. Keep going. I'm listening.
Well, I was saying that's because like some people, like, I don't think you could limit a person like Curry to just. Of course, I've seen him pass with my own eyes. I know he can be that point guard, but when he have a talent that great, it's hard to like, just hold him back like that.
Right. Well, I don't think that's the thing. And a lot of people talk about Steph Curry's off-ball movement, right? They talk about his off-ball movement.
Right.
I think that's the result of the offense. I don't think that's just him running around like a chicken with his head cut off. No. Steve Kerr implemented that kind of offense where he can move off the basketball, just like Klay Thompson moves off the basketball. Add that to the fact that before he got to the Warriors, he played in a similar offense at Davidson, where he played off the basketball. A lot of action off the ball, a lot of ball movement, getting him involved. He was not the primary ball handler. That's why when you brought up Rondo, I immediately thought to myself, if he played with Rondo, how awesome would Curry be? As awesome as he is, imagine Curry running in the backcourt with Rondo.
Right.
As good as Rondo is, when we're talking about a primary ball handler, who would be better as the primary ball handler, Rondo or Curry?
Oh, definitely Rondo.
And how much better would Curry be if he ran with Rondo, as opposed to if Curry was the primary ball handler running with Rondo?
Right.
That's what I'm thinking about specifically. So when I think about Curry, I think about him, and again, what I'm not doing is I'm not limiting him, because when you're a combo guard, that means you're a multitude of things. You're not just a primary ball handler. I play off the basketball too. I don't just play on the ball. I play off the ball too. In fact, I play off the ball more than I play on the ball. But when I play on the ball, I'm nice as hell.
Right. Well, my last question, and I'll let you go. Like, you don't consider him like a combo guard, you don't consider him a lead guard. I was gonna say, throughout your time watching the Golden State Warriors, who is the primary guard? Like, who is the PG on that team?
I think that unit was constructed. The offense was constructed where Draymond Green played the Scottie Pippen roles, kind of like what the triangle was, where you didn't really have a point guard in the triangle, but Scottie Pippen was the facilitator. He was the guy who handled the basketball. He was the guy who Jay played off of. He was the guy that Ron Harper, Horace Grant, B.J. Armstrong, those guys played off of him. He got those guys involved in the triangle because the offense moved the way it did, and there were so many different options in it. Jordan ended up with the basketball primarily, because he would score it at the end. But a lot of action was off the basketball. And a lot of it was Scottie Pippen getting other guys involved, going downhill, getting Jay involved, going downhill, getting buckets to open up the offense a little bit more. Same logic with Draymond. Draymond's the guy who was going downhill, going to the basket, getting fouled, getting layups, getting guys like Steph Curry, getting guys like Klay Thompson involved in the offense early and often, particularly in transition. And when the game slowed down, now you got a lot of action off the basketball, and Draymond is at the top because he's your facilitator.
Man, I have so much to say, but I'm gonna let you go because I know you have other people. So thank you so much.
What you got, brother? I'm not letting you go. What's on your mind?
Well, when you say Draymond, when I think about positions, right, I'm thinking positioning on the court. So when you say Draymond is the primary ball handler, so who would be their power forward? Who would be the person manning the paint to clear out, to get box out, to get the rebounds, things of that nature?
Right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that was Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen wasn't the power forward. He was the point forward. So he was the point of the attack. Right. But I also did my job too. Like we just got finished talking about. We talked about Joker. Even though he might be the primary ball handler, he still does 5-man things. Well, that's the same logic with Draymond. Draymond still does forward things. He still rebounded. He still defended, right? He still played in the paint. So he still did those things defensively on the offensive rebounding end, on the defensive rebounding end. As a defender, he still covered the 4-man. He still covered the small forward. He still did that. But that offense, the way it was constructed, if you know, Steve Kerr was that guy who was, he played for Phil Jackson and he played for Greg Popovich. So that offense was a combination of the triangle and also what they ran in San Antonio, where you got a lot of ball movement and you got a lot of action off the basketball. And you don't have a traditional lead guard. You got a point forward like what Scottie Pippen was.
Right. All right, so that was a great conversation. I'll let you go. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. You know where to find me at. What up? What up? I had him and then I didn't. All right, we'll see if we can get him back. What up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What up?
Chill. I wanted to ask you, based on the lead guard thing, do you think that Steph Curry was being propped up to become a lead guard, like before he had Steve Kerr as his coach, the coach he had before him? Do you think he was propping him up to become that lead guard, a primary facilitator of the offense? Do you think he was going to end up becoming that?
Yes, I think Mark Jackson was turning him into that. And when he was let go, Steve Kerr changed the offense. And he saw the future. He saw what Steph Curry, he saw what Klay Thompson as a backcourt could be. And he couldn't just limit Steph Curry to being a primary ball handler and a distributor. I got to expand the offense because I'm expanding his game in the process of expanding the offense. So with that being said, before he got with him, Steph Curry was becoming in the mold of a guy like Mark Jackson. Even though he didn't play the lead guard, he played off the basketball in college. And Mark Jackson really wanted him to play the lead guard because he didn't think he was big enough to play off the basketball. He thought he was in that mold of the lead guard today.
Do you think he would be? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Oh,
I'm listening.
Do you think that he would be as good as he was if he was doing what Mark Jackson was prepping him up to be? Do you think we'd be talking about Steph Curry the same way we talk about him now? If he was that lead guard, that primary facilitator of the offense, do you think we'd be talking about him the same way like we talk about him now?
That offense would have had to change because the way it was ran, no. He wasn't doing what he was doing with Kerr because with Steve Kerr, the offense was so much more spread out, which is why you saw off the bounce 25 feet, off the bounce 28 feet. That's why you saw that because the offense was so spread out. With Curry being the lead guard, he's coming down, pounding the basketball and getting other people involved, right? Getting other people involved, but at a slower pace. It wasn't like it is with Kerr, where the offense was wide open and they were running. Not only were they running, we had a lot of action off the basketball with the offense being as fast as it was. I don't think that he would have been able to do that in that offense that
So,
Mark Jackson had. No, I don't.
do you think Clay? Do you think Clay would be better then? Since like considering the fact that he would be a better facilitator, right? Hypothetically, in that Mark Jackson, right? In that
Yes.
Mark Jackson offense. Do you think Clay Thompson and like everybody else in his team would be better? Because now he is a better facilitator. He's dishing it out. He's penetrating and dishing it out to guys like Clay Thompson, and he is kicking it off more times to Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think
I
that?
do like that. I do like that. And the reason why I like that is because when I think about what Clay was in that offense, I think with Mark Jackson, I think he would have featured him more. I don't think he would have featured Steph Curry as much. I think he would have gotten Curry involved in the offense, and he would have turned Curry loose, but he would have turned Curry loose to a certain extent. Like, I want you to do this, and you can have fun doing this, but this is as far as I want you to go. That wasn't the case with Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr had to take the reins off and turn him and Klay Thompson loose. I think him turning Curry into more of a distributor and less of a shooter, I don't think it would have been as beneficial to Curry as opposed to what Kerr was doing.
Okay. Thanks. I got two more questions for you, Chill.
Yep.
My next question would be, what got you to love basketball? Like, when you were a kid, what kind of like got you to attracted to basketball? What got you to watch guys like Doc and Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan? What was like the first thing or the person who introduced you to basketball?
My uncle Ron, he was the one who put the ball in my hand. He was the one who introduced me to Walt Frazier. Oh, that was his man. He loved him some Walt Frazier. I can't tell you how you dudes talk about Steph Curry today. That's how my uncle was talking about what Walt Frazier was his man. He loved that dude. Him and Oscar Robertson. Those are the two dudes who my uncle absolutely loved. And he was the one who introduced me to Walt Frazier and Jabbar and Doc at 4 or 5 years old. And I'm watching these guys. We didn't have the coverage today that we had. We didn't have the coverage back then that we have today, but he was taking me to the park and introducing me to other guys. And I'm talking like a small guy. I'm talking 6, 7 years old. I'm running with my uncle and going to the park and watching him play. And I'm just really just soaking it all up. And that's how I fell in love with the game, because I just wanted to be like him.
Did he also introduce you to football as well?
He did.
So
him and my stepfather.
Oh, so they were the ones who introduced you to sports, and that kind of is what grew your love for the game.
Yes, sir. That was it.
Okay. My last question to you is, who do you think, if you had to look in throughout the entire 75 year of NBA history, who do you think could you point at and say this guy represents everything that a lead point guard should be? Who do you think represents that?
Magic.
In the 75 Magic?
Magic.
And why is that?
Well, number one, he revolutionized the position at the big guard spot. Number two, his offense was your offense. His offense was getting you going, because once I get you going, that means that I get going, and that opens up everything for everybody else. And he knew exactly what his job was, and he did it to perfection. I ain't gonna say perfection. I want to take the word perfection out. He did it to excellence. Whatever was necessary. You need buckets, I got you. You need I can recognize my big fella got it going. I recognize James Worthy has a mismatch. I recognize AC Green is doing all the dirty work and he's running the floor. I got to get him involved in the offense. I'm recognizing that this small guard I have on me, I gotta be a little bit more aggressive with him defensively. Magic wasn't a great defender. He was average at best, but he did put the effort in. So when I think about a guy who embodied everything about the lead guard, it was Magic.
Oh, then couldn't you say the same thing for Stockton then?
Yes, you could say the
With
same
the
thing.
defense, but with the elite defense added on top of that?
Yes, you could say that. You could say the exact same. I think Stockton is in that conversation. I do.
To be like the let's just say you're a coach, right? And you're talking to like the kid you're coaching, and he's a point guard, and you're like, go if you had to choose between to telling him to go watch film on Magic or Stockton, who would you like tell him to go watch?
I'm not choosing either. I'm not choosing either of them. I'm telling them to go watch both. Go watch Stockton. Go watch Magic. Go watch both of these dudes. And this is point guard university right here. This is
So
how
he
you
gets
learn how to be a point guard.
right. So he gets the best
Yes.
of both worlds.
Yes, this is
Right.
point guard university right here. Pay attention. So, all right, brother. Good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yep. What up?
What's up, Chilltown? How you doing?
What up, brother?
Not much. So since we're talking about league guards all the time, I figured I'll give you point guards. I'll go straight for the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then up to like 2010s about what I believe about guards of those eras to see like how it would fit, whatever.
Mhm.
In terms of like 80s basketball, I would say like you got definitely Magic.
Mhm.
I would say Isaiah Thomas.
Mhm.
I'll put Maurice Cheeks up there. I'll
Mhm.
put probably a random name, but my dad would talk about him too. I'll put Alvin Robertson up there.
He wasn't a league guard. He played off the ball.
You think he play off the ball? Okay.
Yeah, he played off the ball.
And it just turns out like those type of people. I would say like
Mhm.
league guards. 90s. I put Court Stockton.
Mhm.
I'll put Mark Price in there. I don't think Mark Price
Mhm.
gets a lot of love that he deserves as a point
Mhm.
guard. Tim Hardaway. I'll
Mhm.
put Penny.
Gary Payton.
Gary Payton. Yeah, of course.
Mhm. Sure.
And in 2000s, I'd say Nash, Jason Kidd.
Mhm.
Some other ones?
Chris Paul, Darren Williams.
Aaron Williams. Yeah.
Mhm. Guys like that. And when I think about the 2000s, like a lot of people, they'll start to bring up guys like Steve Francis. They'll bring up guys like Baron Davis, right? They'll bring up guys like that.
Yeah.
Marbury. I'm thinking about when I think about being a league guard and being excellent, longevity matters. I care that you did it for an extended period of time, right? So like a guy like Marbury was around for a while. Steve Francis had probably a 3-4 year run where he was awesome. He wasn't really awesome past like 2005. He wasn't really good past that, right? So when I think about guys like Baron Davis wasn't really awesome past like 2005 or 2006. He had like a 3-4 year run where he was awesome, right? So that's why I don't put those guys in the same category with Jason Kidd and Steve Nash, guys like that.
Right. No, I totally get that. And then for me, a person, since I mentioned Mark Price, and the person that does get a bunch of hate too, at least in my opinion, I think Stockton gets a lot of hate because everybody would say like, oh, he's got all-time leader in assists and steals and all that stuff. Probably say like he's overrated. I really don't see why you could have somebody who played for such a long time and play with so many different teammates like Thurl Bailey, Karl Malone, Thurl Bailey, Jeff Malone, got Hornacek, all these guys, and to be able to like play in so many different offices. And of course, it ran through Stockton and Malone, but also you got to remember like he had so many different teammates, and then just how long he was able to play and withstand the physicality and all that stuff. And plus, not only that, he could score too. I think he dropped like 20 games in the playoffs on Magic, if I remember twice.
In the same series, by the way.
Same series. So it's not like he's just like a distributor. He can score if he wanted to, but I think it's because he's another perfect example of a league guard because he gets other involved. That's how he gets going.
Can you imagine can you imagine today, right? Let's not even today. Let's rewind the clock. We're in 2023. Let's rewind the clock back to, I don't know, let's say 2017. And we're in the conference semifinals in the Western Conference. Can you imagine, I don't know, Damian Lillard putting 2020 games on Steph Curry?
Oh man,
like how we talking about him?
It'll be different, way different, because you don't see people having 2020 games. It's rare. It's rare to get that.
Right.
Even I don't think Russ doing all his triple double stuff. I don't think he was able to get 2020 games like that.
Right.
So and then my last thought is that if you want me to say a league guard of today's game, who I think a perfect example would probably be Tyrese Halliburton. I think with his game, the way he distributes the ball, and also he's a perfect example of like he gets others involved. That's how he gets involved. Like the way, because him when he got on Kings and then especially the Pacers, the way he just elevates guys and just gets other people involved. He's like a distributor that you can go back probably, let's say like 92,000, say I would want him as my lead guard because the way he passed the ball and everything, it's just a perfect example of like how a distributor should be.
He looked like he could be a 2010 guy for like a decade. He does look like that.
He can.
He looks like he could absolutely be that. So
he reminds me of like a mini Magic in a way, the way he plays, because he's tall. So and he's tall and
6'5". I'm not gonna go that far. I'm not gonna go that far, but I think he could be
at
one
least
of the
to
better
me,
lead
just on the
guards.
height, and then I seen his passes. Like he, at least a little bit, he gives you like a Magic type vibe. But obviously, it's gonna take a lot for you to be like, okay, he's like next, like big on Magic. Like, all right, chill, I'm gonna let you.
All right, brother, you know where to find me at. All right. What up?
What's up, Joe?
What up?
So I got a few things. So about this this whole discussion, how come for certain players they're not point guards, but like you're not saying Nikola Jokic, he's not a center, or LeBron? How come LeBron James isn't a point guard?
Well, number one, to answer your question about Joker does 5-man things. So he might be he might be a primary ball handler in that offense, but he's still their best rebounder. He's still their best rim protector. He's still their best interior defender. So he does 5-man things. So when I think about the lead guard, do you do these 5-man things at an elite level? I mean, Joker, I think he led the league in rebounding, or he was second in the league in rebounding. That's a 5-man. That's what the 5-man does.
So is the criteria a certain number of assists? Is that what it is?
You have to pass. You have to distribute at an elite level. 5 or 6 assists a game is not an elite level. No, that's not.
So assists. So how many assists you get? That means how good of a passer you are.
Well, you figure 5 assists. You are. Let's say 6 assists, right?
Wait, let me ask you. You don't think assists has anything to do with the system you're in and how much you dominate the basketball?
Well, that's the point right there. That's the point right there. You just mentioned it.
So
the system that you're in,
mm-hmm.
the system that you're in,
mm-hmm.
you being the lead guard, how your system allows you to play the game determines what type of lead guard you are. So a guy go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you. So on the big three Heat, was Mario Chalmers the point guard?
I think Mario Chalmers he played more off the basketball than he did on the basketball. James
was he the point guard though?
He was listed as the point guard, but he played more off the ball than he did on the ball. James played more of the Scottie Pippen role. He was the point forward.
Was John Paxson the point guard on the Bulls?
We've already discussed this. Scottie Pippen was the primary ball handler in that triangle offense.
I mean, you're kind of like evading the answer though. So if
what am I evading? Because you're listed as a point. Wait. Hold on for a second. Let me make sure I'm understanding you. Let me make sure I'm getting it correctly. Because you're listed as a point guard. Do you do point guard things? So does John Paxson do point guard things?
To me, it's just about what position.
That's a yes or no question, sir. Did he do point guard things?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so did he do point guard things at an elite level?
What he did was he shot at an elite level.
Okay, so that means he played off the basketball more than he played on the basketball. Because did he distribute at an elite level?
No.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about when I talk about the lead guard.
Okay, but just let me ask you the question. So, if
I'm trying to figure out what you're confused about, I'm
not confused. I'm trying to break down your criteria. So, if Pippen was the point guard on the Bulls, why do you rank him? I'm sorry.
Point forward.
But why wouldn't you? Okay.
So he should be. I already know where you're going with this. So he should be one of the best point guards in NBA history, huh?
No, I'm
Is
not
that the logic?
I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, based on what you say, that's what.
Well, I'm
you should
glad
say.
you brought that up. Did Pippen distribute at an elite level?
Yeah.
Did he really? He averaged 6 assists a game. That's not elite.
Yeah, but that doesn't
Matt,
have anything to do with. Wait, hang on a second. That doesn't have anything to do with how good of a passer you are, though.
that has everything to do with how good of a passer you are.
No, it doesn't. So
explain why it doesn't,
Let me just
sir.
ask, okay. Let me just bring up a couple things. Okay.
This is terrible logic right there.
Hang on a sec. So Steph Curry averaged 7.7. He has a season where he averaged 7.7 assists, where he averaged over 8 assists in 2014 and 2015.
Yep.
Okay. So all the other years of his career, when he's averaging 5 or 6 assists, that means he was a worse passer in those years, or does it have to do with how many minutes he's playing, the system he's playing in, the pace of the game, all that stuff? Or did he just become a worse passer in those other seasons?
Did his numbers drop?
Yeah, I just told you in these other seasons.
His numbers dropped, which means his production as a distributor dropped. So it got worse. And why did it get worse? Now, it might not have been because of ability, no, but it did get worse. And why did it get worse? It got worse because he was taking. So those years that you just talked about, Steph Curry was the primary ball handler in that Mark Jackson system.
It's actually 2015. That's another thing you don't talk about is he's definitely the primary ball handler under Steve
in
Kerr
2015.
Well. Yeah,
right. So and then why does it go down in 2016 and 2017 when he's got actually better offensive players, better shooters, better scorers on his team now? Why does it go down?
Well, the reason it goes down is because in order for Draymond Green to be maximized as an offensive player, he needs to be passing the ball more. He has to have the ball in his hands.
So they took Steph Curry off the basketball.
I mean, not as much as you like to say.
That's exactly what they did. They took him off the basketball, which means that he was no longer.
It's not like he's always off the ball though. Like you're.
So when he was on the basketball.
Go ahead.
When he was on the basketball, was he passing at an elite level when he was the primary ball handler? Because you said he was the primary ball handler in 15, right? Because he was the primary ball handler with Mark Jackson. Is that correct?
Yes, but I also think he was the primary ball handler every year under Steve Kerr as well. Like if you
so what happened to his ability to pass then? Why wasn't he distributing at the level that he distributed at before?
I don't think his passing got any worse just because his assists per game declined.
The offense changed. In fact, his assists should have gone up considering how much the offense changed, how much more ball movement there was, how much more player action there was off the basketball. His assist total should have changed. In fact, what happened was his scoring went up, which means he passed less than what he was doing when he was doing that the year before. His scoring actually went up. He led the league in scoring, in fact.
Yes, but the reason that his passes, or excuse me, his assists would actually go down is because he's playing.
He was shooting the basketball more. That's why his assists went down.
No, that's true, but it's also because of the system where it's predicated on everybody touching the ball, not one guy dominating it like he was more under.
Which means that Steph Curry, with the action off the basketball, his ability to play make, he should have actually been better. He doesn't have to dominate the basketball. I want to make sure that we clear on this. So with him getting the ball, and all the action that's going on off the basketball, now we got more guys cutting, we got more guys open, we got more guys being manipulated into situations where they can score more, which means that Curry should have actually been a better facilitator. He should have been a better playmaker.
I think he was. Opposed to him. I think when he's on the ball in Steve Kerr's system, he's getting a screen by Draymond Green like 30 feet from the basket.
And he's shooting the basketball.
No, hang on a sec. They double team him, or they blitz or trap or whatever you want to call it.
And he's shooting the basketball.
No, hang on a sec. And he dumps the ball to Draymond Green, who then has a 2-on-1 going to the rim, and Draymond Green gets an easy assist. So just because Curry doesn't get the assist, that doesn't mean he didn't make the play. It doesn't mean he was a.
So the hockey assist is what you're saying.
Yes, I was trying to say this, but you kind of cut me off. It's no problem, but I'm just saying, under Mark Jackson, when he's playing in a style where it's more him dominating the ball, and getting there's less player movement around him, and it's more he's going to create a play, and then whatever pass he makes is more likely to lead to an immediate shot attempt. versus in Steve Kerr's system, it's more likely that he's going to make a pass, and then whatever advantage he created, there's going to be another pass and another pass and another pass to get the best possible shot. It's not going to be, him dribbling a bunch of times or coming off a screen and getting to the rim and then passing to a shooter, and then they're going to shoot the ball. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of get what you're saying, only except you're not really swaying me, because I've seen Steph Curry get blitzed by Anthony Davis. I've seen him get blitzed by LeBron James. I've seen him get blitzed in a lot of situations and just get off the basketball, and it didn't lead to anything. As opposed to when he was playing in that system with Mark Jackson, where there wasn't many times where he got blitzed, where he played on the basketball and created shots for other people. And with him creating shots for other people, that turned into assists for him. Now, I can appreciate the logic of him now dumping the ball to Draymond Green and then Draymond Green creating the offense, well, which would explain why now Draymond Green becomes the primary ball handler. That's why Steve Kerr switched that.
Hang on a sec, though.
So
how is he not creating it? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to understand.
This conversation doesn't make sense, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to sell me that he's just as good off the basketball, or he's just as good with the basketball, and he's not. He isn't. That's not my opinion. That's a fact.
I'm not trying to sell you. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is how is Draymond Green the one creating the play there if two guys are you're sending two defenders at Curry out of the pick and roll? So how is it Draymond Green the one creating when all he has to do is catch the ball and then run towards the rim and either dump it off or make a layup? How is he the one creating?
All he has to do. Well, I could say the same thing with a guy getting double teamed in a full court trap. Well, you ain't really creating no offense for me. You getting doubled and you just passing me the ball. I'm just going down the lane with it.
Yeah, exactly. They're the one he's creating it because.
And I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing in a full court press. I think I'm good, my man. But thank you, though. I appreciate you, brother. This is good stuff. This is really good content. I like it. Mardok, what up, brother?
Yo, what's good, OG?
What's up, Mark?
So, I have this stat pulled up that I seen a couple of days ago or weeks ago.
Yep.
I can't remember. And it was about the 2019 Raptors. The run that they had in the playoffs, to win the championship or whatever.
Yep.
And it shows that, Siakam, Larry, and Kawhi, as a trio, they had the most.
Siakam, who? Kawhi. Okay,
Siakam,
I'm sorry.
Larry, and Kawhi.
Okay, Siakam, Lowry, and Kawhi. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, so it shows that they had the most points as a trio, and I want to understand why people don't talk about that Raptors one as much as they do, like, let's say the Bucks run in 2021 or whatever. People talk
about what they did in 2019 a lot, and as they should, 100%. There is no, you cannot knock what happened in 2019 and not knock every championship. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, because if you're gonna knock what happened in 2019, you gotta do the same thing in 2017. Mm-hmm. You have to do the exact same thing in 2017. Why? Because what happened to Kawhi Leonard in the Western Conference Championship in 2017? He rolled his ankle. He was out for the series. Do the Golden State Warriors beat San Antonio if Kawhi Leonard is healthy? The way he was playing in that postseason?
I don't think so.
I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm not saying with 100% certainty that they did. Yeah. I'm not saying that. I can't say that. And I won't say that. Mm-hmm. I will not say that. Absolutely not. So when I think about what Kawhi Leonard did in 2019, the same logic has to be said for him. What happened in 2017 with KD? The same thing. If you're going to give KD the credit for what happened in 2017, you got to do the same thing for Kawhi Leonard in 2019. The exact same thing, because the exact same thing happened to him.
Mm-hmm. So, in your opinion, is Kyle Lowry like a top, let's say, 15 point guard of all time?
I don't know if I'm going to go that
point guard.
I don't know if I'm going to go that high. No, I don't. Because when I think about the era that he played in, so he wasn't better than CP.
No.
He wasn't better than Russ.
No.
He wasn't better than Dame.
No.
He wasn't better than Curry.
No.
Right? I don't think he was better than John Wall.
Really?
I don't think he was better than John Wall. No, I don't.
I mean, he made more All-Star teams than John Wall. I think he has more points than John Wall. I'm pretty sure he has more assists than John Wall.
No, he did
I'm
not.
pretty sure he has
John
more
Wall,
skills.
John Wall averaged 20 and 10 for 5 years. Kyle Lowry didn't do that.
No, I think
Kyle Lowry
he
did
that
not
like
do that.
1 year, or probably, or I think it was like 20 and 8, something
Who?
like that. But I don't think it was 20 and 10. No.
Kyle Lowry, not Kyle Lowry. John Wall, go do your homework, sir. He had a 5-year stretch where he averaged 20 and 10.
No, I'm talking about Kyle Lowry. I don't think he averaged 20 and 10.
I don't think he averaged 20 and 8. Did he average 20 and 8?
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm gonna go that far with Kyle
At
Lowry.
least 1 year. He had to at least 1 year. Okay,
So that's 5 guards right there. That's 5 guards right there. And I don't think Curry is a lead guard. I think he's more of a combo guard. More than that. Was he better than James Harden?
As a point guard, well, playing the point guard role, yes, but just as a point guard, no.
So I will tell you this. I do think that Kyle Lowry is going to be a Hall of Famer. I do think that. I know that sounds nuts.
Definitely. No, he has to get in there.
I know that sounds nuts, but he's going to be he's not. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I do think he gets in as a Hall of Famer. I know that sounds nuts.
In my opinion, he definitely gets in from what he did in Villanova, and then for what he did with the Raptors too.
Yep.
And I think the same thing about Kevin Love too. Most people might think, "Oh, you're crazy" or whatever, but in my opinion, he gets into the Hall of Fame.
First ballot.
Yeah.
Soon as he's up, he's getting in. Soon as he's up, he's getting in. So, all right, Mark. Good to talk to you, brother.
Yeah.
What up?
Hey, Chilltown.
What up?
I wanna say first of all that you are my favorite player choice panel member. I really admire you, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And yeah, I wanna talk about several things about the point guard, but if we are talking about lead point guard or the traditional point guard, I think there should be no debate. It's Magic. Let's not debate. I mean, for the first spot, I think it's Magic. Thing about Magic is he was walking mismatch. He was too fast. He is too big for the guard and too fast for the front court player of its era, at least from the tape I watch. And the thing is, in all top 10 player we have, LeBron, Jordan, Kareem, in top 10 list, he's like the only guy who is hitting 60% from field for his entire career. Nearly. His efficiency was so off the chart, he relentlessly attacked the rim and he created he created and scored. That's what I love about him. And Chill, I want to talk about this aspect about from the traditional point guard. Low and a lot of guys in NBA community tend to believe that traditional point guard tend to not win championship. If we look at Isaiah Thomas, when he started winning, his assist number went way down compared to his prime year where he was averaging 30. Similarly, Jason Kidd, his assist number went down, and he actually play a lot of more off-ball threes threat. He have his moment of passes here and there, and essentially logic is that if we have one guy in team dominate the ball to facilitate for everyone, it's kinda not that great of an offense, especially if a team in which everyone is involved in balls, kinda like Spurs and Warrior and those Bird Celtic team in which not a single person is primary facilitator, but a motion offense is running through everyone. What do you have to say about that?
Well, Isaiah Thomas, when he averaged 13 assists, they were still building that Detroit Piston team. And in addition to him averaging 13 assists, he was doing a lot more than just distributing the basketball. He was also scoring too. So the years when they won the NBA championship, his scoring went down too. It wasn't like his scoring went up. No, his scoring went down too. And so for a guy to
increase in playoff, it did increase in playoff little bit.
Well, he was averaging less than 20. I do know that.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
as opposed to when he was averaging 13, 12 or 13 assists, he was averaging 20 a game during that time. He wasn't doing that when they were winning the NBA championship. His numbers went down in terms of him scoring because guys like Joe Dumars, guys like Vinnie Johnson, guys like Mark Aguirre, Bill Laimbeer, who's one of the first stretch fives, they were getting involved in the offense way more back then than they at that time than they were when they first got on the crew. And that was largely due to the fact that they improved. They got a lot better. So Bill Laimbeer in 1985 was not the same player than Bill Laimbeer in 1989 when they won the NBA championship. Just like Joe Dumars was not the same player he was that Isaiah Thomas got in 1985 that he was in 1989, which would explain why Isaiah's numbers went down in terms of a scorer. And his numbers, they didn't go down largely. I mean, he averaged 13 assists 1 year. For the most part, he was averaging 10, 11 assists. That only dropped to 9. It wasn't like it dropped to 6 or 5.
9 to 8 assist range. Yes.
It was still right around 9 assists a game. So with that being said, I mean, his numbers didn't drop dramatically. It wasn't like he just fell off a cliff. No, he was still distributing the basketball at a high level. That was still going on.
I see.
So,
but
yep.
yeah. So
All right, brother.
point is though.
The point is what? Go ahead. I'm sorry. The point is what?
Like the traditional guards, like the Chris Paul, the Nash, the Stocktons, who average 30-ish assists, 30, 12 assists, they tend to not win championship. What do you have to say about that?
I don't think that's because their assist total was high. No, a lot goes into winning the NBA championship. Plenty goes into winning the NBA championship. So Magic, when his team was winning the NBA championship, Magic was still averaging 12 assists a game. He was still averaging 11 assists a game. That was still going on when he was doing that, right? So when a guy like Chris Paul, who his team just isn't performing like it should, that Clippers team that he was on, I just don't think that they were good enough. I do not think that they were good enough. I think that San Antonio team, the reason why Tony Parker wasn't averaging a bunch of assists, well, he was never that. He was never a distributor like that. That was never his game. Plus, those championship teams were anchored defensively by Tim Duncan, which is why Tony Parker was able to score more, which is why Manu Ginobili was able to score more, because this guy defensively was anchoring the middle. And they still ran the offense through him. But the fact that Tony Parker was able to just score more, even though he did get exposed a lot, that wasn't because his assists, they didn't win the NBA championships because Tony Parker's assist numbers went down. They won the NBA championship because that team was anchored by Tim Duncan defensively and what he was giving them offensively as a scorer. So
I see. One last thing that I think there is also kind of historical context, like a lot of critics do say that Jerry Sloan style of offense and D'Antoni Ball in general, they are like historically kind of criticized for being predictable. Like team figure them out at the end of playoff. It's kind of like that. Like an example of that I will give you that in 1989 or 1990, like Jazz were like 2nd seed and they lost to 7th seed Warrior without Mitch Richmond. It was an upset at that time, and many people kind of criticized Don Nelson. Many people did say that Don Nelson outcoached Jerry Sloan and said that the style that he's running is predictable, and it always sometimes something happened. Like Chilltown, do you remember 1994 Nuggets and Jazz series in which Nuggets nearly come back from 3-0?
They were down 3-1 and they pushed it to 7 games.
Yes, it is.
I do remember
so
that.
What do you have to and D'Antoni Ball have been criticized since very long time. What do you have to say about that?
What I have to say about that is that they win the Western Conference Championship 5 times in 7 years, and they win an NBA championship in back-to-back seasons. The fact that my offense is predictable is one thing. The fact that you can't stop it is something completely different. Add that to the fact that when you are winning the NBA championship, a lot goes into that. That Jazz team was not as good as that Rockets team in 1994. That team was better. Olajuwon was better. In 1992, that Portland Trailblazer team was better. It had nothing to do with their offense being predictable. Because as good as that Jazz team was, that Trailblazer team, they didn't run a lot of sets. A lot of the stuff that they got, it was in transition with Clyde Drexler handling the basketball. Also, Terry Porter knocking down jump shots. That offense was very predictable in what they were doing. The problem was they couldn't be slowed down. Same logic with the Seattle Supersonics with Gary Payton. With that offense, what they were running, they didn't run a lot of stuff. They ran a lot of stuff through Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. A lot of pick and dive, a lot of pick and pop, and speeding up the offense. That was their offense. The problem was the not the Golden State Warriors, the Seattle Supersonics at the end of the day were better. And it wasn't just because that offense that the Utah Jazz was running was predictable. Same thing with the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls ran the triangle offense, and that offense was ran for a decade. I mean, I don't know how much more predictable you can get than that. So,
And one last thing, like what do you have to say about creating?
I gotta
Okay,
go,
man.
brother, because I
Man.
got a lot of people in here. I gotta go, my man. But it's good to talk to you, though. No question about that. It's really good to talk to you, brother. Appreciate you. Yep. I think it's crazy that you think that offense is. Yeah, I can hear you. I just think it's nuts that the reason why a team loses because their offense is predictable. We know what you're running. That's what tape is for. Miami knew what Denver was running. It wasn't like they got surprised, like, oh shit, we didn't know that y'all was doing that. No, they knew the Miami Heat. I mean, Denver knew that the Miami Heat switched small guys on the big guys. They knew that. They just thought that. I mean, Miami thought that they wouldn't exploit that, and they did. That doesn't mean that Denver's offense wasn't predictable. We still ran the same stuff. We just now exploiting you switching on at us now. What up?
All right. What's up, children? Huh?
What up?
What up? Yo, I got a question. Who do you think is a better all-time like talent? Jerry West or Bob Cousy?
Jerry West.
And who do you think would fit in the Spurs better, Manu Ginobili or Ray Allen?
Who are you talking to?
I think Ginobili was a better fit for that unit. When I look at what they were doing there, I think Ginobili was definitely a better fit for that unit. 100%. I feel like he did more for that unit than Ray Allen would have done. It doesn't mean Ray Allen wasn't a better player. I always go back to the notion of guys like Mark Aguirre and Adrian Dantley. I am 100% confident Adrian Dantley was a better player than Mark Aguirre. Mark Aguirre was just a better fit for the Detroit Pistons than Adrian Dantley was. That's all it was. What up?
What's shaking, Chilltown?
What up?
What's shaking? Can you hear me?
Yep. What up?
Hey, I was just saying, I wanted your thoughts on a couple of kind of maybe like forgotten lead guards. Since you're talking about this as a topic.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Kenny Anderson
Love
in the
Kenny
90s.
Anderson.
Like he was a fantastic point guard, but you know what I mean? Nobody talks about him anymore.
Before I saw before I saw Kyrie Irving, Kenny Anderson is the best ball handler that I've ever seen.
You know, like
that includes Rod Strickland, that includes Steph Curry. Nobody that I had ever seen was better with the basketball than Kenny Anderson. Nobody.
Yeah. And it's sad that nobody talks about a lot of these. Like I'm thinking you brought up Rod Strickland, Andre Miller, Terrell Brandon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Well,
solid guards, solid
lead guards that nobody ever talks about anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not even to compare to, right? Like, and I'm thankful that like Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf has recently gotten a lot of praise because he's similar to what Curry does now. But like, it's just sad that a lot of the '90s point guards just aren't really talked about at all.
'80s too, not just '90s, '80s too. Nobody talk about Fat Lever. Nobody talks about Dennis Johnson as much as they should. They should be talking about Dennis Johnson way more than they should. Nobody talk about Fat Lever like they should. You know, Michael Adams was really good. Really good.
Yeah,
so
Michael Adams is the guy that I think in the early 90s he was shooting like 8 3-pointers a game, right?
Yes, he was.
Prior to anybody else doing it, right? So
made the All-Star team in Denver doing it. Yes, he did. Yes, he did do that. So, all right, brother. Good to,
all right, yeah, man, sure.
Good to talk to you, brother.
Have a great day.
Yep. What up?
Yo, chill. What up, OG?
What up? What up?
So, who's your best leading guard of all time?
Magic.
Word. I feel that. How you feel about Jason Kidd?
I think Jason Kidd is a top 5 point guard all time. Top 5.
Word. I'm the same.
Yep.
That's my favorite league guard of all time. You know,
I think the Knicks got him too late. If the Knicks would have got Jason Kidd when Dallas got him, or maybe 2 years before Dallas got him, I think he would have been much better for the Knicks. Way better.
He still did this thing when he was over there though.
They made the playoffs. Yeah, they made the playoffs. But he was washed at that point though. Like he was over.
Yeah,
he was over. He still was nice. Don't get me wrong. But the best version of J Kidd, he was already gone.
Yeah. What do you think he should have did better to win those 2 championship runs during 2002 and 2003? What you think?
Nothing. There was nothing he could do. That Laker team was better than he could have did what Oscar Robertson did, averaging 30 and 10. They was not going to beat the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe. They weren't, no matter what. And I don't think that they were going to. He outplayed Tony Parker in the finals, but Tim Duncan was just too much. Tim Duncan was just too much.
I think what he should have improved on was scoring. I think that you know it's good to make your teammates better,
right?
But when you get into a situation where you got to rely on Kerry Kittles and Kenyon Martin that can't, Kenyon Martin he can't create with the ball in his hand. He's more of a 2 dribbles, alley-oop. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Jason Kidd, I feel like the series could have been better, especially against the Spurs, if he would have just turned the scoring up a little bit. Like if he would have just went to 16, 9, and 7 and 2 steals to like about 20, 22. Like I feel like it's times when you gotta turn that scoring up. So I think that was,
his average did go up in the playoffs that year.
Of course.
In 2003. I don't think that he played as good offensively, as a scorer as he could have in 2003.
Because he plays the whole game. He plays the whole game, averaging 15 points. That's not. That's who he is, though. That's what he. That's why to me he's the greatest point guard of all time. Because to me, I really feel he makes all his teammates better. And look at what he has to play with. Like he took Kerry Kittles and Kenyon Martin to the finals twice. Like I know
they won 24 games. They won 24 games the year before Jason Kidd got there. The same crew, Jason Kidd get on the crew. They're in the NBA Finals the next year.
What was it? McCullough, the soft ass.
Aaron Williams, Todd McCullough, Kerry Kittles,
Richard Jefferson. He made
Richard Jefferson. Sure, Lucius Harris. These are the dudes he taken to the NBA. Yeah, these are the dudes he taken to the NBA Finals. And Mutombo was on that crew in 2003 too, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
How you feel about this
I always said, and I'm on record saying this, that I think Jason Kidd is a smaller version of Magic. Like if he was if he was 6'6", 6'7", we could have a real conversation about him and Magic, a real one. Because what that would do is that would enhance his game so much. It wasn't until later on in his career that he started to put the long ball in his game. Which enhanced his game even more, as opposed to he wasn't doing that early on because he was such a distributor and he could score the basketball. Teams got
rid of him. They felt like you got to. Like Jason Kidd is my favorite point guard of all time. I'm in my 40s. I was watching him the whole time. Like it was this. It was the score. Like there's a time when you got to turn into that killer, and you got to just put the team on your back scoring wise. Like, you know what I'm saying? One question. Defensive wise, Magic or Kidd?
Oh, Jason Kidd. I don't think it's close, to be honest with you.
Yeah. That's what. See, that's what.
It's
If
Jason
people don't like
Kidd,
to
and it
talk,
ain't close.
Jason Kidd averaged 2 steals like for 20 years.
He was an all-league defender for a decade.
Facts.
He was an all-league defender for a decade.
In the Dallas series when they beat the Heat, he was locking down all the monsters.
Yeah, he was an all-league defender for a decade. That's all I gotta say about that.
Yep.
And it wasn't and it wasn't just off tradition or the fact that we're gonna put his net. No, he was a legit, or because you had to defend back then. So don't forget he came in the league in '94. So he's around when Mark Price is in the league, and Gary Payton and John Stockton and Penny Hardaway and Ross Strickland. So you have to defend, and Kenny Anderson. Otherwise, I'm gonna get roasted out here.
Yep.
I ain't trying to hear that. So nah, yo. All right, brother. Good to talk to you.
You already know.
Yep. What up?
What up, Chilltown?
What up?
So my question is, in the 80s, you think Mo Cheeks for the 76ers, you think he was a top 5 point guard?
So Cheeks, Magic, Stockton, Mark Price, Kevin Johnson, Isaiah in the 80s. Fat Lever.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Johnson. I said Dennis Johnson.
Right.
No, I don't.
Ooh. Wait, why not?
I think he's right on the. I think he's right on the other side of that. I don't think he was better than DJ. I don't think he was better than Magic. I don't think he was better than Stockton. I don't think he was better than Isaiah. And I just don't think he was better than Fat Lever, man. I think if Fat Lever was on that crew in Philly, I think they would have done the same thing. Because Fat Lever was multi-purpose. He was a better rebounder. He was just as good a distributor as Mo Cheeks. Mo Cheeks was more of an off-ball defender than he was as good of an on-ball defender as he was an even better off-ball defender.
I agree with that.
Even better off-ball defender. So when I think about guys like Mo Cheeks, and I think about the era of point guard back then, right? When I think about guys like I don't think he was better than Michael Ray Richardson.
Ooh.
Michael Ray Richardson had a drug problem, though. That's the problem. Michael Ray Richardson had a drug problem. I don't think Mo Cheeks was better than Michael Ray Richardson. No, I don't.
So what do you think the separator was between him and like a point guard like Magic or Isaiah?
I think the separator between him and a guy like Isaiah was Isaiah's ability to distribute and his ability to score, his ability to control the game, and Isaiah's ability to turn it on as a scorer when it mattered.
When it matters, right. Okay.
Isaiah was definitely a pass first lead guard, but he knew how to turn it on when it was necessary. Like, I got to get going. He did do that. Right. I don't think Mo Cheeks could do that. Mo Cheeks was not, and he didn't have to be. He was running with Doc. He was running with Moses. He was running with Bobby Jones. Right? He didn't have to do that, but there were times when it was necessary to do that, and he didn't do it. I thought that was the separator between him and Isaiah.
Okay, my final question is: you think the Sixers with Doc, you think they underachieved, or they did? I mean, what they did was okay in the 80s.
Well, because Doc going to the NBA Finals, I think. Let's see, 77, 79. I mean, 80. 82,
83,
and 83. So that's 4 times in 6 years Doc was in the NBA Finals. And he didn't get over the hump until he got Moses.
Mm-hmm.
And Doc was on the other side of who he was when he got Moses, because he only played 4 more years after that. So when he got Moses, his best years were already behind him. Right. So Moses was in his prime.
He was.
So I think that and then they got Barkley. I think that they could have been better. I do think that. I think that they could have been better and they could have won more. But I think injuries also derailed them too. Andrew Toney tore his Achilles.
Right.
And the Boston, there's a reason why they call him the Boston Strangler, because he used to kill Boston. But that was one of the main reasons why they didn't win more. Losing Andrew Toney was huge.
It was.
That was huge for them.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate you for answering.
You know where to find me at, brother. Yep. 1 second. 1 second. Pause for the cause. Pause for the cause. I got one more, and then I got to bounce. One more. And then I got to bounce. Pause for the cause. Mm-hmm.
Hey, OG.
Whoa. What up?
How you doing, buddy?
Brother, what's going on?
I just had a quick question. I was curious, like we were talking about like busts and like in the NBA and stuff like that. I was wondering which player do you think in your mind was someone who never was a bust, but you just didn't get up to the potential that you really hoped. They might have been really good, but you're like, damn, I wanted them to be better.
I thought Lamar
Like not a
Odom was gonna
bust,
be
but just someone in your own
I thought
person.
Lamar Odom was going to be a Hall of Famer because he looked to me like a guy that could do everything. And
Yeah.
I thought that he was going to revolutionize the game at 6'10", left-handed, thick Ben Simmons with a jump shot.
Yeah.
That's who I
don't know much about him, but yeah.
That's who I was looking at. Like Lamar Odom, so nice with the pill, can score on anybody, can get to the basket, rebound basketball with the best of them. And I expected him to be a lot better than what he was. And he wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he was the number 2 overall pick in the draft. I think he was the number 2
For
overall
me,
pick.
I think it was Griffin. Blake Griffin. As good as he was, I just think that he fizzled out about 4 years too early. Maybe it was bad. He went to Detroit, and that's when kind of he dipped. And I thought he had potential of being like a really top 40 maybe type player in his prime, but he ended up kind of fizzling out.
Well, he was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was 2013. I think he finished in the top 3 in league MVP votes that year. He was
That's
awesome.
when I thought he was going to be.
I thought that Clipper team was going to be better. They should have been better than what they were. But the more I watch them and the more I think about what they were, they just weren't that good. I think they were a really good collection of talent, but as a unit, they just weren't that good. They just weren't.
They were good for a short period of time, and then it just didn't work out.
That's exactly what happened. Yep. All right, brother. Good to talk to you.
Thanks for your time.
Yep. Got a couple super chats here that I want to get to. Let's see here. Chill, is AD a top 5 player right now? No, I don't think he's a top 5 player right now. I think he's a top 5 talent. I think when he's healthy, I think there's a legit argument for AD being a top 5 player, 100%. But he's definitely a top 10 player. I don't think he's a top 5 player right now, though. No, I do not think that. Jeffrey comes in with the super chat. He says, what's your assessment on Ross Strickland? Ross Strickland is super nice with the pill, the traditional lead guard. One of the smartest point guards, considering him only playing 2 years of college. One of the smartest point guards, one of the toughest point guards, one of the best scoring point guards of that era. He was awesome. 100% he was. No doubt about that. He was definitely awesome. I think that when he was in San Antonio, right? When he was in San Antonio with David Robinson, I think that was a little much for him so early when he got David, because he was only in the league like 2. I think he was in year 2 or 3 when he got with David Robinson, and it was definitely a bit much for him. But Ross Strickland, as a lead guard, he was definitely one of the best of that era. Mark Price, Gary Payton, Stockton, Jason Kidd. I mean, Ross Strickland was right there. He was a fantastic point guard, 100%. LaMelo Ball is special, but have to stay healthy. 100% he does. I think that Charlotte has their point guard in LaMelo Ball. The question is he made of glass? Because if he ain't made of glass, right? If he's not made of glass, I think he could be an all-star for the next decade. And I think that he'll be on the All-NBA team at some point for a minute too. Like, I don't think that he's one of those guys that he'll be on it, because if you remember, I believe it was 2 years ago, before Gordon Hayward got hurt, Charlotte was right in the middle of the playoff race. Right in the middle of it. When Gordon Hayward got hurt, and then the setback with Bridges getting into that nonsense, that screwed a lot of things up. Had those guys had Gordon Hayward been able to stay healthy and Bridges not got involved in that nonsense, I think that put a lot more pressure on LaMelo Ball. Kind of like what happened when Shaq left Orlando. It put a lot more pressure on Penny, and he ended up breaking down. I think he would have lasted a lot longer had Shaq been able to hang around. I think he would have lasted a lot longer if he did. So I do think that. Spook comes in with the super chat. He says, "Hey OG, how soon was it when Jordan became the best scorer in the league? Not all time, just the best scorer in the league. Probably 88. By 88, it was official. I mean, 87 when he averaged 37 a game, it was like wow. But by 88, when he was averaging 35 a game, it was like, yo, ain't nobody. I don't think there's anybody in the game better than him as a scorer. Jabbar was on the other side of who he used to be. Jabbar had one more year left, and he was over. So that was it for him. He had one more year left after that. I mean, Bird could still score the basketball. Bird was still scoring it at a high rate. But Jordan, the way he scored the basketball and how efficient he was at scoring the basketball, at that point, he was just a bucket, and there was nobody better. Nobody better at that point. I'm thinking 88. That's when it was official. So, what up?
Peekaboo. Caught you online, man. What's going on?
What's going on?
Ain't nothing. Well, about that Jordan thing. Like me personally, I think if I had to say back in maybe 85 and 86, I would probably go with Dominique being a better scorer than him. Would you agree with Dominique being a better scorer?
Who was chasing Jordan all them years when Jordan was winning the scoring championship?
Dominique.
Yeah, he was winning.
I ain't gonna lie. I had to watch a lot of those games back then because when him and Dominique met up, Dominique wasn't laying down. It was just the rest of the team had to figure that shit out. That's
Jordan 48, Dominique 46, Jordan 37, Dominique 34. Oh, it was like that.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Dominique in the 80s. Oh yeah, of course. Even to his last years, even after the Achilles, Dominique. But I don't remember the last time we chit chatted, man. I seen the weekend. I'm trying to put an end to that Bobby ticket thing, man. They both my homies, man. I can't have them going at it like that. But I wanted to talk about a little bit about the Jaylen Brown contract. You know how I feel about that. You know how I feel about the Celtics. I've been on you about the Celtics. We go back and forth about that. But what was your first impression about the Jaylen Brown contract? Just the contract in its entirety, knowing what the Celtics, knowing what type of teams the Celtics built in the past. What was your initial reaction on that?
I thought it was dope. And the reason why I thought it was dope because Larry Bird and Red Auerbach made this possible. So I'm not looking at Jaylen Brown as Jaylen Brown. I'm looking at Jaylen Brown as a piece to what they're trying to build. And we can pay our players the most because of the bird rights. We can pay our players. Right. We can pay players the most. And I think this is going to be a staple for things to come with a lot of these other players. Like you're going to see a lot of these other players sticking with their units because of stuff like this. Because
right.
Like, the days of dudes leaving $40-50 million on the table to go to Phoenix and to go to them days over, B.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I don't see that no more. I do not see that.
Absolutely. And I think the Dame situation, me and you both agreed, Dame don't have no leverage because he tried to take a big ass piece of cake and eat it and take it with him into somewhere else, man. Like you ain't taking 58 million and then 60 something million in your last year and think you're gonna go sit pretty on a stacked ass team or whatever the case may be. Now that's a little bit different with Jaylen Brown because all of these years the Celtics been able to build the teams that they've been able to build by not paying those type of contracts. The whole time they had Danny Ainge, they built some quality teams. They just didn't get it done. They just was a shit show down the line. So my thing was I think of this contract, and even with them with Porzingis, I wasn't too happy about Marcus Smart walking with the Marcus Smart trade.
I ain't like that neither.
I wasn't too happy about Grant Williams, who was the only person that was like manning up for them and against Jimmy. That was
Right.
that was some more of your grit that's gone. The Malcolm Brogdon situation is still a big ass question mark. I
Right.
mean, the Celtics as a whole, I think obviously that team that just came out of the Eastern Conference Finals, we got to be honest. Danny Ainge built that team. He put that team together and left them with it. And now you got Brad Stevens in the front office, basically. All right, it's okay. Let's run with this and that and third. Me personally, I don't think he know what he's doing. I think he's just going with the flow. I don't think he's gonna build. I don't think nobody's ever gonna build the type of teams that Danny Ainge built in the last 10 plus years for that franchise. So
see what he's doing in Utah.
Yeah. I already see, and that's why I was about to ride with Utah, but they didn't get the first pick because the NBA is stupid.
Yeah. See what he's doing in Utah. You see it.
I see what he's doing in Utah. So my impression about the contract itself, my thing was like, this is gonna be the guy that we're gonna look back at when these super max contracts come up. Mind you, it's 35% of the cap of that contract, and I get the bird rights things and everything, but we're gonna be looking back and be like, yo, this is the dude that broke the mold for 300 in the NBA.
Well, we doing the same thing with we doing the same thing with Mike. We ain't tripping. We wasn't tripping when Mike Conley got 150 in Memphis.
No.
So we got to do the same thing with Jaylen Brown. And by the way, they got Jaylen Brown on the cheap. He had a contract before this. They got him at 122 million, which I know that sounds nuts, but they got him on the cheap. The same thing happened with the Golden State Warriors. They had Curry on the cheap. They had Klay Thompson on the cheap. That's why they was able to build that thing, because they got them dudes on the cheap. But eventually, you're gonna have to pay these dudes.
Right. But
you're gonna have to pay them.
When you got Curry and Klay on the cheap, they was damn near about to be a dynasty. Like they did.
And you still got these dudes on the cheap. You do.
So, but my thing about it, team wise, listen, I'm gonna go back and forth with you forever about how I feel about Boston. I just don't think Jaylen Brown and JT are gonna be able to win together. But I think they done had their chance and they blew it. I honestly do. The best version of JT, I already saw him. It was this past season.
26 years old, Leaf. That's it. I 26, man. What we doing, yo? 26 years old.
I go back to something that you said. After your 5th season, you are who you are in this league.
But you still gonna get better. You very well could get better seasons.
What?
You still gonna get better seasons. Now I can tell you right now, you're not gonna get an extra crispy handle. You're not gonna get a Kyrie Irving handle. You ain't gonna get a Kenny Anderson handle. You're not gonna get that. I think that's upstairs.
Can you get them to go to the left? Can you get them to stop turning the ball over?
That's what I'm saying. Rate? And I think that's upstairs. I don't think that has anything to do with him not working on it, because he clearly works on his game. Kind of like Giannis. Giannis works on his free throws, but Giannis is standing at the free throw line 10, 11, 12 seconds. My man, shoot the ball. Turn your brain off.
Turn your brain off. Oh,
okay, so
he got to turn his brain off to stop turning the ball over. He got to stop thinking too much.
Yo, he's running past. He's running past the ball. That don't have nothing to do with my handle, me not working on my handle. What it does do, though, is it makes my handle look real amateur. It does do that. It makes me look real amateur. So that's upstairs, B. That ain't got nothing to do with him working on his game. Nothing to do with that. Nothing. So
here's my thing. If teams that's the lesser than, like the Warriors team that won the championship a previous year ago, and they could run the same strategy that they ran defensively and neutralize you and your number 2, because you know how I feel about them. To me, they both 2 Scottie Pippins. You know how I feel about them, because when the moment get real big, they gonna start to fold up, man, like a bad hand in poker. And we done seen it.
You wild for that.
I'm wild for that. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. They got the Boston Celtics got 2 Scottie Pippins. I said
it. And when they actually do it, you're gonna have to come off that. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to come off that. That's all I know, Leaf. You're gonna have to come off that when they do it. So you're gonna have to come off that. Leaf, I gotta bounce, brother. I gotta bounce, brother. So it's good to talk to you, my man. I know where to find you at. You know where to find me at, my man. Be easy. My man, Leaf. what can I say? So it's about that time for me. I'm gonna shake the spot. It was dope to see y'all tonight. I appreciate the super chats. In addition to appreciating the super chats, I appreciate you all showing up. We'll do it again real soon. It was great to see you guys. But until then, take it light, but take it.